No.
Clock, Monday, March 20th, 2023. Regular meeting of the Windsor Heights City Council. Roll call.
Susan Skerry,
Here.
Joseph Jones,
Here.
Michael Libby,
Here.
Lauren Campbell,
Here.
and Teresa was going to try to join us via Zoom, but I do not see her.
She texted such.
Okay.
Should be. All right, please join me in the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I was told beforehand we want to move ahead. So,
Second.
roll call.
Susan Skerry,
Yes.
Joseph Jones,
Yes.
Michael Libby,
Yes.
and Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
4, annual update from Catching One. President, CEO. Mr. Mayor, fellow board member to our board. It's been a very good board. I need to turn that on. Yes, on. Perfect. Who's listening?
You never know.
Always someone out there.
Thanks for having me, and I'll try to be brief. It's coming off of kind of a quiet weekend. I slept in all weekend, and
I think you needed that.
I don't know how this got on my schedule for tonight, but I'm happy to be here. It's right on my way home. I want to thank Council Susan for being a volunteer over the weekend. We had about 100 volunteers out on the streets and skywalks, and helping visitors with directions and security questions, anything they may have. So it's really a big weekend. I don't know of any problem that we had. So thank you all. Go ahead. Can you guys operating that?
Yep.
Next. I think you're familiar with our primary budget through hotel motel tax. People travel to the metro area. We spend money all over the place. Stores, shopping, hotels, restaurants, entertainment venues, etc. They hopefully stay overnight in a hotel. When they check out, we charge an additional 7% hotel motel tax. And of that, then we receive 2/7. Excuse me. They never, the hoteliers write the check to the state of Iowa. They then return it to the cities. We receive 2/7, or about 28%. Bravo receives 2/7. The other 3/7 remain in the city. I want to mention to you all that you don't have any hotels, but all of a sudden, I don't know if you've watched your hotel tax. You're getting hotel tax now, and it's evidently from Airbnbs or VRBOs and things. We fought years ago when Airbnbs first became popular, and it's always been a law that they have to pay hotel motel tax, and Airbnb corporate finally came down on it. Most people that stay in Airbnbs now have to pay up front. Of course, they haven't automatically charge the tax. So I looked at those figures the other day. I should have brought them with me, but so things are rolling. Go ahead, next slide, please. We subscribed to a new service this past 6 months called Arrivalist. Arrivalist is an organization that does visitor can track visitors obviously throughout the world, primarily through our devices. Someday that's probably going to become illegal, but they've tracked 5.8 million visitors to the metro area last year. Average stay of a visitor here is 2.8 nights. Next slide will show you the top places a visitor go. Excuse me, the origin by state where they're coming from. Obviously, Iowa is the largest cast of visitors that come in, followed by Minnesota, Illinois, Nebraska, Missouri, Wisconsin, and then it gets kind of interesting. Texas, California, number 8, number 9, Kansas, and number 10, Colorado. So coming from all over the place, and we see that increasing, really dramatically through the years as people are finally discovering the Midwest and what a great place Moines is to come and visit. Next slide, please. Top attractions: Moines International Airport is number 1. Jordan Creek Town Center, number 2, Ivy Town Center 3, followed by Fort Avenue, the Mid-American Energy Complex now out in West Des Moines, Iowa State Fairgrounds, East Village, Prairie Meadows, and Adventureland. So the great attractions as well. Occupancy average daily rates have increased. We're almost back to 2019 pre-COVID era. Year to date, we're over 55% occupancy. You can see our average daily rate, as you've probably experienced if you've traveled at all. Hotel rates have gone up dramatically, so we're way up on the rate, which really has increased our budget as well this year. This past year, we serviced anyway 332 different conventions, sporting events. Of those, 176 were because of our direct results from our sales process, bringing them in. And then we booked 209 future sporting events, conventions in the future. Just a quick snapshot. This is some of the major stuff coming in this year. Obviously, we've got 200 some plus different conventions, things coming in. But you can see the variety of things, everything from stuff we've already hosted, like the Kennedy Theater Center. We brought in, I think they had about 1,400 college students that were theater arts majors from around the Midwest, utilizing Hoyt Sherman Place, the Civic Center, the old firehouse downtown, the old social club. Great activities. You see a lot of ag stuff, a lot of sports stuff this year. We're going to have an incredible year. If business travel would come back, we'd have a really incredible year. And we're still seeing a lag with business travel. Corporate is still, they're not traveling a lot, they're Zooming. They learn to save money by Zooming. We keep saying face-to-face meetings are the best way to be productive. So some other big things, we're going to host Ragbri this year. It's going to be crazy. We're hoping to have 50,000 riders from Moines to here to set the Guinness Book of World Records. They're telling us we could have 100,000 people downtown Moines on July 26th. So it's going to be a bad house. Hosting Ironman again. It kind of, I'll just take it quickly through May. In May, we're going to host the Veterans Golden Age Games, which is a veterans organization for handicapped veterans, senior veterans. It's kind of a junior Olympic style contest. A lot of that will be held on the Drake campus. Of course, June, you get into Charity Classic, we do Ironman, World Pork Expo, on and on and on. In July, we've got huge youth basketball tournaments coming in again this summer on a 3-week period between downtown and event center in the Recplex out in West Des Moines. End of July, early August, we hosted 5 years in the AAU Junior Olympic Games, 14,000 athletes plus friends, families, about 20,000 people in town for an 11-day stay. On and on. Of course, in the Ivy Garden in July, on and on. The Savannah Bananas are going to be here. We have a little arms, a little play in that as well. Sam Burnaby, the guys that called me on. So they want to talk to you. I said, why do they want to talk to me? You know why? Because they want to see what kind of dollars we can sponsorship for them. So we're going to be 2 nights here. It's quite the show. We're excited about that. You talk about all the different niche markets, USA Archery. You see this thing called Major League Quad Ball. That's Quidditch. For those of you young enough to have young kids, it's a Harry Potter thing. And the Harry Potter people said, no, you can't use our name anymore. And I guess in Harry Potter, I'm not. These people fly around with birds and eat birds. I don't know.
I just have a note that I have to Google what that means because I'm looking at it going, I have no idea what that is, but
I didn't either. My salesperson gave me and said, we're going to host a Quidditch deal there. And I go, but it's all good. Willers will be back. I'm Joseph Buster. You can join that show while we're here. Go ahead. Next slide. Some marketing numbers here. We've broke records this past year on the number of web visits we had, 1.5 million visits to our website. You can see our media impressions. All of our impressions really went up, especially over through COVID. Obviously people are home, they're bored. And that's one thing that we did right. I think when we positioned ourselves during the lack of business, we really positioned our marketing to be in front of people, let people know that when they were ready to travel, we're open, we're safe, a great place to come. I think our numbers really prove that. Social media going through the roof. I think everybody is right now. We've got a great young lady that does all our social media stuff. She shared some tweets with me today, TikToks and everything else about the NCAA tournament. Just incredible the feedback that we get back from all that kind of stuff. Go ahead. Marketing strategy. This year we're going to spend over $1 million just in advertising. A lot of that's old-fashioned broadcast TV. A lot of it's social media stuff. You may hear us if you're a Cubs fan. You may hear us on the Chicago Cubs radio network. We've been on that for the last couple of years. Got great feedback from that as well. And just most of our advertising is newer to the leisure traveler coming in, because that's really kind of our bread and butter, especially spring through fall, which really helps as well. I'm going to play you this quick video, 30 second sports ad you may have seen on TV.
Here in Greater Des Moines, with the unexpected sports that feels like we are the big home, little kickers, the underdogs, and the bulldogs. We've got events wacky and wide, big and small, equals simple. That old sports cliche, nobody believes in us. Nah, you come here, you'll believe.
I don't know what it is. Right after they announced the NCAA team, somebody wrote in, now there'll be 4 S's silent, because we had Arkansas, Illinois. And that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions. Michael?
Thank you, Greg. Good to see you again. Right. Two things. Who did the voiceover for that ad?
That gentleman is the director of the Isis Reds.
Yeah.
It just so happened we were going to contract somebody like yourself with a good golden voice. And my marketing team was with him, and I don't know where they were. And they said, "You got a great voice. Would you like to do our voiceovers?" And he's done several things.
Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah.
Second question. It used to be a barrier of travel into Des Moines via the airport and costs. Is that moderated a bit?
Oh, big time. Yeah. And that moderated, gosh, 8 years ago or so.
Okay.
And we do comparisons all the time with Omaha, Kansas City, neighboring airports. You know, Legion helped a lot, Southwest helped tremendously. So yeah, we're competitive.
I lied. I have one more question. With regard to helping organizations come to Des Moines, how large an organization does it need to be to get some push or some assistance through Catch Des Moines?
We really primarily, we look at the economic impact of the event. You know, how many people, how many hotel room nights, all that good stuff. And it just varies, you know. Our budget this year, we have about $600,000 in our line item, what we call bid incentives, which are things like, you know, the Savannah Bananas, which is a very small amount, but you know, World Pork Expo, we do several tens of thousands of dollars with them.
I guess what I'm more interested in is ancillary marketing to get people to come, not necessarily financial assistance, but ancillary marketing to interest people in actually coming to the point.
Well, that's where we spend a lot of our marketing bucks, you know, through social media, advertising, things like that. Promoting, you know, new things like the Recplex and other new attractions that may pop up. So yeah.
At a board meeting, Greg, I remember that did we get most of our visitors from Omaha? Number one.
Most from Iowa, Omaha does send a lot of visitors over here, so it's Kansas City. But yeah, we started advertising in Omaha, that's probably 15 years ago. Really wondering when they come here, but you know, they don't have an amusement park. We've got the best state fair really in the Midwest, and Minnesota's we got good too. But so really start seeing people drawing there as well. All right, thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
very much.
It's complete.
Thank you. I will.
Item 5, library update from Woody, Director, Moines Public Library.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and City Council people and City Administrators. We know what Quidditch is at the library. Look at the Quidditch parties, or little Harry Potter parties at the library. That's fantastic. But the business at hand is to thank you. Thank you all so much for the last 3 years that we have been able. It's been a real privilege for us to be able to offer our library services to the residents of Windsor Heights. So this is just our time. We'd like to thank you for that. And I brought a couple special ladies with me that are librarians who would like to just kind of explain how your residents have been taking advantages of the services that we offer at the library. So I'll introduce Jen Tormey. She is our Technical Services and Collections Supervisor, and then Nikki Hader, who is our Franklin Avenue Branch Manager. So I'll tell you how you guys are loving our service.
So I do oversee purchasing for Levies, like the book, the audio, the magazines. Let me go to the next slide. These are some very tiny stats on how Windsor Heights users are. It says 94 new users for the last year and this month. So that's very exciting. We consider an active user somebody who downloaded something in the last 12 months, and there are 327 active Windsor Heights users, which is actually really high. We have about 6% of Windsor Heights residents use Libby. We see about the same activity with Canopy, which is streaming video. It's just a little more niche, so not quite as much usage.
It's bigger behind.
You know, I don't think it's going to help me. But, yeah, I mean, roughly 9,000 items were checked out. The majority of them use the audio, which is what we're seeing. That's where the trend is. As I move away from audiobooks on CD. I want to go to the next slide. These are just the top 10 checkouts. Nothing too outlined here. What you'll find is that a lot of these are very macro. So you've got a lot of big readers, and keep going. These are just some. These are the top ebooks, and then on the next slide, top audiobooks. And magazines actually were very interesting because they're not your People magazine, something a little more. But they're really, you know, in-depth readers here. And one more just This is the interesting one, is that we do curate our own collection. We add to it weekly based on the number of people who are requesting items. So you can see the wait time between us and then Bridges, which state run Libby, and how they compare. There are some that are just going to be popular no matter what, like Spare by Prince Harry. It's going to take forever regardless. So these are the top ones, and just kind of when it says no estimate, that just means that there's too many people waiting. They can't even tell you how long. So we do try to add as many copies as possible, as we can, just to keep those going, especially when it's something that's topical. And on the next slide, we do purchase always available titles. It's a lending model that is a little bit different, but it lets us to, like for Sarah Penner, who's coming here this weekend for Avid for the book fest. You can get any of her books immediately, which helps us kind of promote the Avid program, or you know, anything popular up there. And we think that so.
How do you go about if you have like books that you, because so many now I use Libby, like I love it. I go through 3 or 4 books a week just in during my season. So I'm just constantly trying to find, I go through, But sometimes, you know, you get series 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, but I really wanted this little in between here to at least, even if I could get one book in between here, between 4, 5, and 6, you know, maybe 5 would let me know what. So how do you go about requesting that? Is there like the button or link? Because of course, I use my phone, so it's
So
probably through
Libby
the
is
app.
adding a new feature within the app that will let the notification go to your librarian saying this is requested. That hasn't come out yet, but.
So I have to look for that. I have to
You will
watch for
have to
that.
keep an eye on that, and I'm sure we'll do a promotion, but in your account with BMPL, you can send a purchase suggestion to us, and then we will buy it if it's available.
Okay.
We don't buy everything, but we certainly, if we have the beginning part of the series, in the end, we probably just lost the middle part. Probably go with it.
Okay, thank you.
Always ask for a suggestion. We love buying.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nikki Hader. I am the manager at the Franklin Avenue branch, just a stone's throw away from Windsor Heights. And I've been fortunate enough to be the manager there since 2019 and have been fortunate enough to work with Windsor Heights residents for all of those years. And we see Windsor Heights users all the time at Franklin, whether that be in our building, through the drive-through pickup window. I'm not sure if you all know, but we put a pickup window in not too long ago. And then, of course, in our programming, in our outreach. So if you want to go to the next slide, please. There we go. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Jen. I want to mention that is so great about Windsor Heights users, at least what we've seen as library staff, is that the print and physical checkouts reflect a lot of what you're seeing that Jen mentioned in digital checkouts. So a lot of avenues, but also a lot of folks who are coming to our programs. Whether that be our story times, we do offer 3 a week, and then we do various different STEAM and literacy programs in addition to that. Then we have a lot of programs for families and programs that are steered more for adults throughout the week, throughout the month. But we have been focusing our outreach really heavily in the Windsor Heights community area. We've been working a little bit with Susan on the various community events. We have been focusing our story times in the summer during our big summer reading push. It's a program that we do every summer. Been getting out to community more. We didn't have much of a choice during the pandemic because we weren't physically programming in the building. So we decided to shift outward, and we did all of our story times that summer in the parks, and Colby was on that rotation. And it was had an incredible turnout. So if you kind of look at the numbers there, those are good story time numbers, especially for an outdoor story time. Not everyone wants that environment all the time because, you know, kids, little ones can kind of run. So we had to come up with creative ways to encourage that participation. I think once people came, you can see that the numbers for the most part started to increase. I'm pretty sure that in July, everybody was probably hot, you know, so you have to kind of factor that in. And then we've been really invested in joining you for your outreach events. We've done Windsor Wonderland, that's always a tongue twister for me, at Hy-Vee, had a great turnout there. I personally attended the Fall Festival, which blew me away. We saw so many families, so many of our users come and stop by the table. When we get out into the community, we always like to do something extra. We can sign up for library cards outside of our buildings, but we also like to bring an activity. So something that just encourages the love of reading, but also just gets that hands-on involvement and excitement for the library when we're out. And we are going to be joining you for Movies in the Park, Ghostbusters, May 5th. We'll be there. That should be fun. And we'll do something that ties in with it, just to make it exciting. And then I want to also make sure that I mention our partnership with Coles Montessori. I know that it's a Des Moines public school, but I also know that a lot of Windsor Heights residents send their kids to Coles. We do have a deposit collection and all of the early elementary classrooms there for preschool through kindergarten. So we have about 20 books in each bin, 12 bins that rotate through 6 classrooms. And it's just a way for teachers and instructors to enhance their learning opportunities for kids, a lot of core concept books, a lot of picture books that they can't necessarily afford to buy for the classroom. So we're supplementing that by providing those deposit collections, and the feedback from the parents has been, and the teachers, has been overwhelming as possible. They also selected Franklin as the location for their annual food drive. So we have a community fridge at our library. I'm not sure if you were aware of that we opened in early December. And we received close to about 1,700 items from Cole's families to put in our fridge. So we're constantly nurturing and building our relationship, and look forward to doing even more outreach. We are planning our story times for this summer, so we'll definitely be reaching out to see how we can get back into Colby and get that summer story time rotation. And then are certainly interested in other opportunities, programming opportunities outside of the library. Sometimes it's great to, meet people where they're at, get out into the community, and bring folks who maybe don't know about what we're doing in the building. So be happy to answer any questions that you may have about our programming and outreach.
I do appreciate all the social media posts. I like to share them out because my daughter, well, my mom was a school teacher, so of course reading was a big thing for us. So then I, kind of shared that with my daughter, and so I just loved. She loved going to the library and having some of the fun events that were at the library. So I do like to share your posts on. And I know a lot of people, I didn't even know that we could get botanical garden passes, or, like some of those event passes that the adventure pass, that I don't think everybody knows so much about that, but it's such a great opportunity for people to go and attend events that.
Well, thank you for sharing those.
I just want to say thank you. I love watch Franklin Library. We started my bike up there. That's a library.
Awesome.
It looks very different, but
Yes.
I really
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Teresa, just real quick. I just want to say thanks for the presentation. I really appreciate all the information on what the usage. I think this is the first time that we've received information about those that are using the library services and kind of the extent and of that reporting that you provided to us. So I just wanted to say thanks and for also being engaged in our community. Again, it's good to have you guys be doing that so people know that that's the connection to library services in our community. Again, not something that's been very prominent. I know that you guys kind of came on right before COVID as well. So I just want to say thank you for all of that that you're doing in our community. We know it's different outreach effort and just really grateful for all of that. So thank you.
Well, thank you for the kind words. That is heartfelt and right back at you. We have found this to be a very fruitful partnership and collaboration with the City of Windsor Heights, and we hope this continues for many years to come. And we know that most of our Windsor Heights patrons are patronizing Franklin, but we do have 6 locations, and they do ours. Workers who are downtown and our other locations as well. But we do also know how important those digital offerings are, whether it's the adventure passes, ebooks, e-audiobooks, and that is something that we are uniquely positioned to serve as well with. So, any other questions?
Sue, would you ever consider doing that at someplace else?
Sure.
Like-
This year, we're booked up for this year already. We had this year planned, but absolutely, yeah, we are always looking for alternative locations. I think last year we tried Franklin Junior High. Oh, speaking of Franklin Junior High, Franklin does last year started a storytelling festival for the first time, and we'll be doing that again this fall. So Franklin's just an amazing program. All of our libraries do, but Franklin has a specialized programming. So yes, and I know you've got a really beautiful center, a community center that we could do some more programming. Love to. And thank you for passing on the social media posts. And communicating that great information.
Thank you.
Item 5B, consideration of 2023-19, a resolution authorizing the execution of an agreement between the city of Windsor Heights and the Moines Public Library for the provision of library services.
So second.
What-
We can't sit
whatever
next to
order
each
you
other
put it
again. Yeah. We don't really care.
I'll give it to Joseph.
Further discussion or questions about the agreement? Hearing none, roll call.
Susan Skiris.
Yes.
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Michael Libby.
Yes.
Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
And Teresa Harms.
Yes.
Thank you.
Public hearing, 6A, public hearing on the fiscal year 2024 maximum property tax dollars for certain life. Motion, who moved,
Second.
roll call.
Susan Skiris.
Yes.
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Michael Libby.
Yes.
Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
And Teresa Harms.
Yes.
Anyone here to speak about the maximum property tax dollars? As we know for the record, this is not actually tax levy. This is the tax levy minus the debt service levy. So we plan on the ultimate total levy being the same as last year, right?
We do.
So this number is something required by the state and it's not actually reflective of what your ultimate city tax levy will be. Okay, if there's no public comment, motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Susan Skiris.
Yes.
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Michael Libby.
Yes.
Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
And Teresa Harms.
Yes.
Consideration of resolution number 2023-18, resolution to adopt the fiscal year 2023-24 maximum property tax dollars for certain levy.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion about that?
Yeah.
Roll call.
Susan Skiris.
Yes.
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Michael Libby.
Yes.
Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
And Teresa Harms.
Yes.
Public forum, this is the time set aside for comments from the public, topics of city business other than those listed on the agenda. No action may be taken. Please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and keep your comment for no more than 5 minutes. Comment? Okay. 8, consent agenda.
So moved.
Roll call.
Susan Skiris.
Yes.
Joseph Jones. Yes. Michael Libby.
Yes.
Lauren
Yes.
Grace, you muted yourself.
Yeah, I don't know. I lost you guys for a second. Anyways, yes, I said yes.
New business 9A, consideration of snowplow truck purchases and equipment maintenance plans.
We need a motion on this.
Well, I just want to be sure about what. What is the, I don't know if there's a specific actual. Yeah, I think we may need that. Well, we'll just do it in a backer thing, Jason or Bill. Talking about it, if anything added other to add than what's in the report.
No, I mean, I think after, our Public Works Committee meeting, I think we kind of settled to come upon an agreement, so I think we're here to, let's just make the final decision and let's just move forward on it.
Clarify something that's written here. And Mayor Burgess for putting together what's essentially the meeting minutes. This was discussed at committee at that committee meeting. Jason was kind enough to provide us with some meetings logs, which are also included in this agenda. And I wanted to clarify the recommendation is to purchase a new truck right now, a new snowplow. And we are keeping in the interim until it arrives the two trucks. When the new truck arrives, we are going to have another conversation about whether or not we are going to continue to keep those two old trucks, or whether or not we are going to sell one. We're also going to have a conversation about should we then purchase a second new truck, as well as should the ERP be modified down the line as far as the timing of purchasing of the trucks. But regardless, there is hopefully, if appropriate, a goal to be reached in staggering the purchases. So we're not purchasing two trucks every 10, whatever the time. So clarify, the recommendation of the committee was to purchase one new truck, and then when it arrives, we're going to have a conversation about what we're going to do with the old ones and how we.
Is that
The Public Works. Committee.
that arrival is going to be what?
Yes, a year away, 365.
So basically, whether or not we want to or not, we're going to find out how much mileage we get out of it.
And I did talk to the gentleman at O'Halloran's. So basically, we do not have, the only thing when we decide that we are going to purchase the truck is we just have a signed agreement. There's no pay half at this time or pay in full at that time. It's when we pay in full when the truck arrives at the dealership.
Could you work a deal in there that if we pay ahead of time, we get like 10% off? I mean,
Well, I could probably connect that.
you know, I mean, just saying,
It's ain't until you know.
that's the worst they can tell you.
Yeah, right, that is true.
We're earning pretty good money, interest on that money in the bank, so.
So it's better to wait, right?
For right now,
Okay.
it's better to wait. Unless you're getting 50% off, I would say. Well,
If we're getting 50% off, I'm buying.
And you know,
if we're getting, I say that too.
I do agree about, staggering, obviously the purchases out on the equipment. I totally understand that. I've inherited a issue and I'm going to try to fix the issue so we can be ahead of the game. And obviously the preventive maintenance is a huge thing. And so, I mean, if you can take care of the equipment, it's only going to make it last.
I was asked by a Public Works Committee member if he said that he didn't see anything about the maintenance in here, but I'm not too sure that you would put the maintenance plan in here just because it's the snowplow recommendation, but it was strongly, we all basically said
Recommended, yeah.
that we needed to have like the maintenance plan in place, which is something that I know Teresa and I talked about at the last go around with the snowplow. So that's something that is being looked at. It's kind of, we're assessing kind of like the sandblasting where, okay, well, maybe in 5 years we could sandblast whatever you were talking about, the body or whatever, so there are things that we're looking at that you're starting to put into place for us.
Right.
Did I not see a maintenance schedule?
Yes, I emailed that out Friday.
But I think what we're talking about is like, it needs to be a little bit, that wasn't really exactly, I think, what a lot of the committee had kind of requested and kind of what Teresa and I were looking for. So we'll just kind of look at updating it just a little bit more and then kind of go from there.
I have another one here. And I can send it out to you guys. You can look at it. Under the hood, interior, general, and the exterior. So I can send that out. I can email. This is something that basically we would do every single day before one of the trucks literally started its daily activity. So basically, regardless you know, we have to do a walk around, and I understand everybody's concerned about having a checklist. I get that. But it is literally protocol before you step in any big vehicle, you have to physically do a walk of the vehicle. Now, all those vehicles, like our snow plows, they're automatically set up. There's a switch in there. It can automatically test the lights. You guys don't have to sit, turn on every single light. You can just hit a switch and it will do all the perimeter points of all the things. So when you're walking around, you can know, check, okay, this isn't working.
So I guess the only recommendation and to put it as simple as possible from public works is right now, purchasing a snow plow from
Halloran or something.
our international, have Hawkeye, put an outfit it, place the order for now for one dump truck. We will keep the two while we're waiting for the one to arrive. If it does arrive, we will reassess whether or not we should keep the two original dump trucks and also what our ERP should be.
Is that a motion that you'd like me to?
That's the recommendation of the Public Works Committee. And so if someone would like to make a motion consistent with that
I
recommendation.
will make a motion consistent with that recommendation,
I'll second that.
but as long as I don't have to say it all.
Right.
Is there any further discussion on that? Hearing none, roll.
Susan Skiris.
Yes.
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Michael Libby.
Yes.
Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
And Teresa Harms.
Yes.
Thank you.
Nine B, discussion and possible action on sister cities Windsor Heights reimbursement. Kofu and delegation trip.
Mr. Mayor, I really appreciate the in-depth look that you gave at all these prices. You know, and it's kind of hard to figure out how much exactly.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yes, I would. I did a significant amount of research for this because the last thing that I think was presented to council was somewhat half-cocked, like half-cocked things. And so I put together a great deal of information, research here regarding the request. And so I'm asking council essentially, as the summary is, to consider these numbers, and if they find any number appropriate, to I don't know if it can be by direction, however it has to be done, to reimburse for this trip.
Did anybody add up those numbers? I didn't.
About $3,800.
Thank you.
So if you do an average flight cost of $2,075, you assume that it's 6 nights at $152. If you assume that 7 days per diem, and then you kind of estimate, I would say about $100 for transportation costs. That's about 37. I think it's 37, rounding up. It's about 30.
I did receive a report from Ricky on her activities. I failed to get that out to you folks. I don't know if she got it out to you, Mr. Mayor.
No. Another thing that was discussed was expectations for her reporting to council, and essentially she didn't have any because I don't know if her predecessor had any. And so I did speak to her, and she will provide bi-monthly emails and appear quarterly in person to talk to us about what she does with the Cities Commission. As well, I attached information about what the City does and information. Take my mind. Yeah. Yeah. Written reports by or in person.
When I served in in terms of reporting, so I met with the mayor and the city manager probably once a month.
There was an email that she shared with me, was sent out by, I don't remember who shared it.
Is it Joseph Nolte and Cheryl?
He's the
I was gonna say, didn't it say something? in
don't
here?
know. But there was correspondence now. Essentially, commissioners should be reporting regularly as to their activities. So it's encouraged that.
So now will sister cities, or I guess the greater Des Moines sister cities, will they, since Ricky she is the vice chair, no, but isn't she a chair?
Subcommittee chair. The code.
Okay, so she's not on like the board, she wouldn't be like president, vice
Right.
president,
when
so
you
then
see-
they wouldn't provide any funding to help her though?
Right. So when you see these names of people in the past, they have either been chair or the vice chair, or the subcommittee chair for the respective city. And Des Moines pays for those people to go. So when it talks about the sister cities commission paying for them, that actually means the city of Des Moines. So no, as it lays out in 28E, where it talks about travel and then talks about member cities are responsible for funding travel.
I didn't know if there was a way to get around that, since they said that they, paid for whatever, but now that it's just the subcommittee.
Right.
Is there a motion?
Yeah, or if not, we can move on.
I'll make a motion that we fund up $3,800 for Ricky to attend Sister Cities event. Kofu.
As reimbursed.
Yes,
So how much did we pay the last time? Because I feel like 3,800 is kind of but that was all that we paid. Like there was nothing else that was given.
And you can see as it lays out here, I mean,
Was that like half the cost at that
We
point in
don't know.
time?
we don't know. Because there's no documentation in the agenda. I went back and looked. And this was in 2016. And there's no recording. And the minutes just say that it's for $900, and then like in parentheses it says partial. We do not know. But, and I'm not, I guess, making the case for this, that was in 2016. There was no pandemic. There wasn't a war in Ukraine. Travel to, I think I wrote in Asia, or correct, because technically Russia is part of it. But travel to Asian countries, when we say Asian, China, Korea, Vietnam, etc., including Japan, is much more expensive because they continue to have very strict pandemic regulations. So back pre-pandemic, it was $1,400 just to go, just to fly to Korea. Obviously now it's 2,000, average of 2,000. And so these numbers, when we look at other people who have traveled, 2,500, 3,200, 2,200, 2,000, those are all significant increases from $900. Not only that, they are pre-pandemic numbers. So I recognize that as a jump. And just, you don't have to fund if you don't want to. But the flight alone is $2,000.
Well, I was just trying to wrap my head around if maybe I wasn't reading what you wrote correctly, because it seems as if $900 is little. So I wondered if there was a little more that I wasn't reading or something.
You are not missing anything. I provided you everything I could find.
Another reason I like it when minutes are, like out there and kind of help us out sometimes.
Wasn't even. Michael, you made a motion. Did anyone second the motion?
Started with a second.
Is there any further discussion on that request? That motion. And as far as the documenting goes, Rochelle, when it says it has to be pursuant to the city employee reimbursement policy, what is that?
We would need copies of receipts.
If the motion does pass, can we make sure that we outline exactly separate gifts for success, exactly what she needs to provide, what the limits are for each day? Maybe. As someone who is often not in compliance with their own corporate travel reimbursement policies.
I will put it in an email.
Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, vote.
Michael Libby,
Yes.
Lauren Campbell,
Yes.
Teresa Harms,
Yes.
Joseph Jones,
Yes.
and Susan Skiris.
Yes.
9C, discussion on Beggars. You may recall, October, we talked about potentially moving Beggars night. A bit late in the game. It's March now, and so I think just hoping to figure out from council whether or not that's something they want to pursue. By pursue, I mean
Look into it.
surveying, talking to people about whether or not this is something we should even pursue.
I think it's worth looking at. The worst they can tell us is no, they don't. They want it to be on whatever night before Beggars Night.
I think one of the concerns I had was that if we move it to the final Saturday of the month in 2025, that would be a full 6 days ahead of Halloween. I'm not sure. I don't have a dog in this fight necessarily, but I think the celebration would kind of get lost. Any other conversation?
I'd be happy to chime in. So this is something that I brought up the spur of the moment last time. I still support it in this space. I'm somebody that celebrates Halloween for a month long, so it's not a. It's also I'm an October birthday, so maybe I'm an odd duck. But even our schools are celebrating. Whatever they call them, fall parties and that sort of thing, within the last 2 weeks before the holiday. There's all sorts of for the whole month, you see different haunted houses and people go to pumpkin patches and all those sorts of things. So I do think it's more of a month-long celebration. I don't worry really about it being 6 days in advance. And I do think that there's something to be said as a parent who still has children who are out trick-or-treating, that I wish this would have been done a long time ago. Because it is a stressor, especially when it's on a weekday and you are trying to get home and get your kids dressed up for Halloween and get them out the door and then put them to bed and all of those sorts of things, things that I still do, that make it challenging. If it's on the weekend, it just makes for a more enjoyable holiday time. So I would like to see us do some sort of survey with residents to see what their feedback is.
We did the sign up genius, or no, we did the Survey Monkey. for the movies. So, you know, we'd be able to piggyback and use that still because we have that year-long subscription, right? So
Is it unique in the responses, like it can't spam reply or spam vote, you know? Like, is it unique to each
I-
email or?
I thought it was,
That I would have to do some research on.
When someone's spamming this full.
I think he's talking to Teresa.
Anyone else feel the same way? We should reach out to residents.
Yeah, to be clear, I'm not speaking in favor or against the idea necessarily of visiting with residents. I think that's appropriate measure. Just offering my opinion with regard.
And I can speak to Mayor Elrod because obviously on the grant, starting this conversation, see what's like positives and negatives. You know, so I would say we could put something in the newsletter as far as, you know, saying this survey is going to be live, maybe do it I don't know, a few weeks in April or all of April, whatever.
Should we do it into like May so we can hit the people that are at the movies in the park? And then, you know, as we're up there, we can talk about that and then.
Yep.
I'm assuming a lot of that in park
Good
kids.
idea. And then kind of pick a date to end it and reconvene and have a conversation about what the results are. Sounds good, everybody? Okay. 9D FY24 budget discussion. Michelle.
I put in your, or Travis put in your packets, flipped together pages for your binder. Those are the only pages that changed with this, with these cuts. There is a loss of revenue. We talked about that, $103,502 because of the passing of Senate File 181. So I did sit with staff and we did decrease the budget by 103,000. And there's no actual reductions to anyone currently within fire, police, or the CEC, and even legal fees. We had these fees, are the salaries set pretty high, and those were because of the new fire chief and the new fire, so sorry. The new police chief and the new fire chief that are to be hired. And I set those at the top of the range, but we backed those off by talking with both Blake and Travis about what we thought the actual salaries could be. So that's how we made those cuts. CEC, those cuts actually were made because Travis's salary was actually in the previous year, this year, they were his cost center allocations were 50% CEC, 50% administration, but that actually wasn't right. So we did a better balance, and now that resulted in that $25,000 cut. And then legal fees, because we aren't having as many issues as we had in the past, and things are pretty steady and stable here. So I went ahead and cut that by $35,000. So. I assume you guys. I'm assuming Aaron could take it.
It's taking food out of our kids' mouths, so.
Your legal fees aren't even anywhere near that right now, so it's all good. So that equaled the 103,000, so I didn't have to go any further, which was delightful to my fire and police departments, because I was the one, I was telling them, hey, you guys have the biggest chunk, you guys have the biggest, you're gonna have the biggest cuts, but I didn't really have to do any cutting of anyone or anything. The one thing I did do, and now I'm getting a little bit of conflicting information, so if we need to change this back, I can do that. On the table is an updated ERP. So the one that I gave in your packet, it actually had a Excel error in it that I found and caught. So it actually is right now. This is the corrected one. But what this shows you is that I went ahead, so this is on me. I went ahead and changed the FY 23 the ERP under Public Works to take out that second dump truck, because we had both of them in for 23. I took that second one out and I moved it to 24. So I did that on my own without knowing about them wanting to discuss when we would put that back in. So that's on me. If you guys want it moved, we can change this. But what I did do is in FY 24, originally we had the end loader in there. I moved the end loader to 25 and I put the dump truck in 24. And so I'm just saying, even like a year from now is when we would be thinking about buying another dump truck, which would mean another year from then is when we would even receive it and pay for it. So we're not even talking about paying for a dump truck in 23, we're paying for a dump truck in 24, and then again in 25 if we do that. So just wanted you to know that all the dump trucks are in there, the end loader's in there, everything's covered. It's just timing. So, and that's on me because I wasn't knowledgeable about when
You
guys
weren't at
wanted-
the meeting, so.
I was not. So I was in New York. I'm so sorry. Sorry, I missed it. No, sorry.
We had a lot of fun.
I'm sure you did.
Well, knowing that will be an option here.
Yes, so it's available. So the only other change that I did make on the departmental expenditures was page 21, and that's the capital projects. So originally, I had put in the FY 24 proposed, I hadn't put it in the budget to spend it, the future street projects extra funds of 1.2 million or the lost funds of 1.8 million. I went ahead and put those in now this year. So instead of 16 million, we've got 18 million to spend. So I had just had it as to be determined and left it blank, but I wanted to put it in there to make sure that if we need it, we can spend it. You can spend it for whatever you want on whatever you want, but it's just in there. We don't have to worry about an amendment. You would just have to determine what you want to spend it on. So just wanted you to be aware of that.
What is that?
For future street project funds is 1,239,734. And then for lost is 1,088,820.
And what's 340 coming from?
Oh, the 340 is the streets. So prior I had, we didn't have that dump truck at 250,000. We only had it at 150,000 a piece. So I had to change that equipment revolving streets number.
So basically, we have about $2.2 million we need to spend.
We do. And I mean, I got a street I can sell you. Need it reconstructed. So lots of items you could purchase with that 2.2 million. So that was the only other changes. And then back in the back, all your actual state budget forms, those all got changed as well because I did the cuts. So that's it.
Okay, any questions, discussion?
Thank you for working on this again and again.
Yeah.
And again.
Third time. Yeah, I just hated like doing more pages for the stupid thing, but dang it. At least maybe the state will leave us alone. Knock on wood, but it's done, so
Appreciate it.
you're very welcome. Unless somebody has questions or wants changes made, I'm not gonna touch it.
Negatively affecting staff salary.
I'm sure, absolutely. We would have found ways, whatever we needed. And the guys were great. They found all kinds of things that we could have cut, but there's really no reason to cut things if you're not going to spend it anyway. So it's just nice to not have to do that.
Hey, Rochelle, I know this is a tireless and thankless process, but thanks for all your work on it. You've definitely improved our budgeting processes over the course of the last several years. So kudos to you and making sure not only everybody understands, but is a part of the process. And because public budgeting is not an easy thing. I just wanted to say in general for everybody, the Revenue Estimating Committee for the state actually met on the 10th. And as they're looking ahead, certainly aren't seeing increased revenues for the state. Now, I understand and know that our state budgeting or, our budgeting at the local level is a little bit different. However, as the legislature continues to consider changes, which there are bills in both chambers are talking about property taxes. I just want us to be thinking about how potential impacts might impact our out year budgets. And I know that's certainly a road we can't cross until we get there, but I think it's really important for us to be thinking and engaging and participating in the process as the legislature is making decisions about these things and being able to communicate with our elected officials, but then having a true understanding on, potentially the situation that's going to put us in, and then, being prepared to make some of those difficult decisions as we go into the next budget cycle. So just kind of making that top of mind as we're looking at, only cutting $100,000 out of this budget, but we might be in a situation where we have to do more than that next year.
Great. Thank you, Teresa. It's
Very
really
true.
important.
Thank you, Rochelle. So that's 19, consideration of resolution number 2022-20, a resolution setting time and place for the public hearing on the proposed budget for fiscal year 23.
So moved.
Second.
That will be
April 3rd.
roll call.
Susan Skiris.
Yes.
Joseph Jones. Michael Libby.
Yes.
Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
And Teresa Harms.
Yes.
And 10, reports. These included in the council packet. Ms. Harms.
Yes, good evening. Thanks for accommodating me via electronic meeting tonight. MAC met last week. We did not have any legislators attend the meeting, but we did get an update from the League of Cities and others on the pieces of legislation that are making their way through the process right now. And so, short of what I kind of just mentioned with property tax changes are probably the most significant pieces being considered at this juncture that impact us. I don't expect that there will be a decision on those until probably the final week of session. We are probably, if we're lucky, 7 to 8 weeks, 7 weeks away from the legislature adjourning. They're scheduled to adjourn on April 28th. So that's that. We worked with, thanks Adam for getting the newsletter out, and I think we're going to try and get a business one out, this communication out for this next month. So I think those are the big things. Thank you.
Campbell.
Thank you. I met with Chief Overson on the resident concern, and to nobody's surprise, he's done a ton of homework ahead of time and have researched the entire issue, and itself and partnership we might have something to bring to public safety soon to follow up on that. I missed the special events committee meeting last Friday due to my need to attend every parade possible. But Susan and I do have success with the mailer going out to local businesses with volunteer and sponsorship opportunities. Thank you, Susan and Liz, who helped draft the communication, and we have the little brochure or one of the brochures here that we are sending out to many of the businesses highlighting the special events and community involvement here. So if anyone wants to take a peek, feel free. And thank you to Susan for doing the list of getting those addressed and sent.
It's great having insomnia.
That's all.
Libby.
I just want to thank Chief Everson for joining me this past Saturday, coffee with council over at the grounds for celebration. It was really a remarkable opportunity to get to know Chief, and also what was really interesting was that his great aunt appeared and waiting for us to sit down there. She was alerted to our meeting by her sister, who lives in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, who apparently follows me on some social media things. And so you never know where people are going to come from. But I was able to learn a whole lot about our interim chief, his family, and I really treasured that when we met with a resident as well. So thanks again, Chief. Appreciate it. Mr. Jones?
Nothing major to report. I'm going to forward everyone. Mr. Levy pointed out to me that there was another recent article about dark funding. So I'm not seeing it. I'll be sure to see what's there. But of course, like I told you, we're doing our part. It's not like we doubled what we gave to dark.
You're talking about the city.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So
If I recall, did we not give most per capita?
right. So we're
Change the funding model?
yeah, and so we're still, yeah, we're in the spot that we can best to help, but it's going to take a much larger effort to figure out what you can make them probably go away. So stay tuned, but yeah, check those out. So I'll send those to you so you can see what's been written.
Scaries?
Attended the Public Works Committee meeting 2 weeks ago, last week, something like that. Discussed the snow plows, changing the way that we have purchases, the equipment revolving plan, and then establishing the maintenance plan. So that's good to have out of the way. I attended the Urbandale's Chamber monthly luncheon last week and heard from DART about their advances, as well as the issues that they're having. And kind of what needs to be done to help DART and the people that ride DART, because they're the ones that we want riding DART to their jobs. So it was interesting to hear them speak. Then also listen to Mr. Johnson speak about changing his life after spending time in prison. He operates a 501c3 now that works to educate and provide skills to former inmates, former drug users, basically anyone who wants to better themselves can come through this group. It's like a 6-month process. It's very restrictive, and I'm impressed. So then on Thursday, I was able to be the smiling face of Windsor Heights at the NCAA tournament, where I was a greeter for Catch Des Moines. I got to hand out beads, red and blue. I guess we're Kansas fans, although they busted my bracket. Wasn't happy about that, but gave directions to what seemed like 1 million people. I got a glimpse of Vice President Harris, and I also had a 30-second chat with the governor about Windsor Heights. She really likes little brother. I heard comments from people about how they loved our restaurants in Windsor Heights and how they're enjoying coming back to the city. So that was kind of great to hear that people are coming back to our city and seeing how great Windsor Heights is for themselves. So see, then on Friday, had the special events committee meeting. We discussed briefly fireworks for the fall festival, but I'm waiting to hear back from the committee so that I can bring a proposal to council at the next meeting as to how much we want to spend for the fireworks. Seems like I'm missing something, but I don't know on that, what event I'm missing, but reminders for the upcoming events, because if you're like me, you need the reminders. March 29th, strategic visioning. April 8th, the annual Firefighter Association's Easter egg hunt at Colby Park, starting right at 9 a.m. The horn goes off. Better take care. Keep all your digits away, because those kids, they will take off. You might be on your butt. Then April 22nd, Earth Day event at Colby Park from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. The stream cleanup goes from 9 to 12, and then from 12 to 3, we have a whole bunch of fun events in Colby Park, or in the Community Event Center. And then the 2023 Movies in the Park series starts May 5th with Ghostbusters. We're still looking for volunteers for Earth Day and volunteers for Movie in the Park. So let us know what shift or shifts you'd like to cover. And big thank you to Adam for putting all the social media stuff together and putting it out there and being willing to take one for the team when I need to fill out the forms. I don't know what I'm doing. So here. So I appreciate all your help.
Thank you, Michelle. Anything you do?
Yeah, Justin kind of alluded to it, but patching is gonna start on April 3rd, weather dependent on that PCC patching project. And then he will have a University Avenue update for us within the week. He reached out to the contractor, they just hadn't got back to him yet by today. I hope to have a little bit more information to see what's next for them. I know there's some things that need to be done with the landscaping and some other things. So he's getting us an update on that. And then I met with Mark Aarons from the foundation this morning, and he will be bringing to council probably on the 3rd, if not the 17th of April, a request to help with fireworks again. And then I met, the main reason to meet with him was July 4th, using staff and then paying us for using staff for July 4th, fire for public works, firefighters and police. So just so you're aware of that. That's it.
Thank you. Item 11, closed session. City council will convene into closed session pursuant to Iowa Code 2157I to evaluate the professional competency of the individual whose appointment, hiring, performance, or discharge is being considered when necessary to prevent needless, irreparable injury to that individual's reputation and that individual requests a closed session. Motion.
So moved. Second.
Call.
Susan Skiris.
Yes.
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Michael Libby.
Yes.
Lauren Campbell.
Yes.
And Teresa Harms.
Yes.
I think you're gonna do. Okay. Thank you for coming. See you later. Yeah.